Hello everyone, and this is Ed again, and this video is for the CSWA exercises that we're doing week 3 technically. We didn't do anything last week because it was spring break at UCCS, but now this week we're going to pick it back up with where we left off. So previously we did like a week 2 and 3 type of thing. I'm sorry, week 1 and 2. And now I made this week 3 document, and ultimately I'm going to embed um, the links to these videos inside of here so you guys can get this document is the easiest way to start, and then you can see what we're doing, and ultimately I will put the link to these videos in here so you can see these parts getting done as well. But alright, so I'm just going to jump right into it. We are trying to make, let me scroll to the right part here. So we're going to start with this part right here. It's answering questions 3 and 4. So we're going to make this. I'm going to spend this first video making this part because it has a lot of complex geometry that we have to dimension here. And then we will answer questions 3 and 4 for it. But then we take that same part and we're going to modify it further. And then we're going to be able to answer 5 and 6. But based on length of these videos in the past, let's just start with this first one. I'm going to make probably 2 separate videos for this because we're going to make this. Part of what we've done in previous videos that we have done for the CSWA exercises went over how to make a global variable. I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's not the hardest thing, so when you see me do it, you could probably learn from this video how to make a global variable. But we're going to have to do that again in this video because we have to change the dimensions of this after we make it to be able to answer question 4. A good thing to point out at this point, since we are working on a pretest here, is that this is how my understanding of how the SolidWorks test will actually work itself. And when I say that, is that they will give you something to build, and the very first question that they're going to ask you is going to be a multiple choice question. And if you don't have a result that is at least somewhat close to one of these answers, you're completely far off and you know that you're like failing at life at that point, and probably would start to stress because if you spend a lot of time making a very complex part like this and you go to answer it and you don't have any of these answers, that's got to be very frustrating because you probably did something wrong. But the point is you should have one of these answers, and if we make this part correctly, I've been getting the correct answer every time. Then in part number 4, so it's assuming that you make it right, because then you have no wiggle room. This doesn't give you any multiple choice. You have to just answer it. And when you answer things like this on the test, it gives you a 1% wiggle room. That's your error that you're allowed to have. But the answers for this pretest are at the back of the pretest. I also listed them in the document that I'm going to share with everybody. And I'm getting the exact answer if you build it right. So that being said, if you're not getting these exact answers, you probably did something wrong in your build, and I would consider watching the video. So hopefully I don't screw up as I'm trying to show you guys. So as always, we're just making a part here. So I'm opening up a new part. So I watched a couple videos on this one, so I did cheat, and hopefully I can just give you guys the important stuff to get us through it and get you the important information. We're used to starting with this extrude boss base button. It doesn't matter. There's like so many different ways to do the same thing in SolidWorks, but this is the way we're used to it, so I'm going to keep doing it that way because ultimately we're trying to extrude a drawing. So then I'm going to click on the front plane here, and I can start drawing right away. So this is a very clever thing I saw in a video. So I'm going to pick this corner rectangle tool here because I just want to draw a rectangle around my origin here because I'm going to try to give myself boundaries to draw within. So now I'm done with my rectangle tool, so I will hit my green check mark. And now I'm going to use my left mouse button to click and drag a box around my box that I just made. And it's selecting all my lines over here in my property manager to the left, you can see. And there's this bottom button that I can click or check this box with my left mouse button for make them for construction. And when I do that, they go to actually like midlines. So these aren't permanent lines, and SolidWorks understands that I'm just using these lines for construction. So I thought that was very clever because what we're going to do is set bounds. And if we look at this assignment, so what I'm going to do, you guys, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to have this in a different window. So you guys won't be able to see it, but I'm going to be referencing it the whole time. And hopefully you guys can do something similar when you're trying to build this because there's a lot of complex geometry on it. But what I'm going to do, and actually I will bring this over here since I'm going to talk about it. So if you look at this piece right now, one of the first things we want to identify is how big the overall shape is, and that's what they gave us these. If you look at it, the B dimension is the overall height, and this A dimension is the overall length. And then there's a C dimension up here for the depth of it. So that's actually gave us like a blueprint to kind of work with. And we did global variables before, but I'm going to show you again. So we're going to smart dimension this line over here. I'm going to make it equal to quotation, capital B, quotation. You could do a lowercase b if you want to. Then I have to click this little globe button, which makes it a global variable. And now, according to the instructions, so the way these instructions works, there's A and B, and I can scroll down for the first part of this one. It wants A to be 81 and B to be 57. So I will make this one 81, because that is, I don't know if I lied, 57, because that's my B. Millimeters, I always like to type the millimeters just to make sure it's right, but I am in MMGS down here in the bottom right hand corner. You always want to make sure you double check that at the beginning of any part that you're in the right units, and I'm always super picky about it, so I always write the MM usually as well, just to make sure it does it right. So that's the overall height of this one, and then the bottom one here is going to be the A. So I can do equals quotations A, and I can click the little global button, and now for this one, the A is currently 81. So I'm already dimensioning things. Now I'm going to draw a circle here on the origin. And it's important that I do this on the origin just because it makes a sketch relation and it's helping SolidWorks understand where this stuff is in 3D space without me having to do a lot of extra work. So by me clicking on the origin and making this circle on the origin, I made the sketch relation of coincident with the origin, which saves me time in positioning of that. And I'm going to dimension that right away. And it says that it is 14 millimeters. And then there's a distance from this sketch line, which I'm going to make the front of my picture, to that center of the origin of 14 millimeters as well. And now I'm going to move this box around a little bit, because it's already kind of locking into place some of how I want it, but it's more going to be kind of there. So now I'm going to just roughly draw the shape of this thing. So I want to be careful while I'm drawing not to make any unnecessary sketch relations, because it will ruin your life, and I've had some issues with drawing this one because of unnecessary sketch relations. So this shape is something kind of like this. This one comes down. I'm going to get out of that right now because I'm just drawing lines. And then this one is similarly. This sketch relation I will make because these 2 points are going to kind of always stay stuck together. So I am going to go ahead and let SolidWorks make that blue dotted line sketch relation that it's making. And then this one, I'm just, again, being careful not to make unnecessary ones like that. So skip over that one. Then I'm going to try to be fancy with my tool here. It comes down something like that. And then another arc one down to here where it actually touches this line. Then it's going to come this way. And watch out for those sketch relations you don't want. Somewhere here, here, here. Oh, no, not that way. Oh, God. No, we're just going to use a different tool. So the tangent arc from here to there. All right, so that's the rough sketch of what it is. And now all I'm going to be doing is trying to dimension everything along the way. So I hit check mark to get out of my arc tool. I'm going to start, you kind of just start in one area and work around in a circle. So it doesn't matter if you go clockwise or counterclockwise. I'm going to go clockwise. So smart dimension, and we just start doing all of the ones that you can see in this picture. So from this point to this point is 7. Oh my gosh, not meters. Control Z. Double click on that. 7 millimeters. And this one as well. This 7 millimeters. And then this line is at a 45-degree angle. If you guys don't remember, you just click on this line and then click on this line with your left mouse button, and that'll let you be able to adjust the angle in between them. If at any point something isn't working right, it's probably because you made an unnecessary sketch relation. Would be the first place I would look. We already dimensioned that to be 14, so I don't have to mess with that. So from here to here is 14. And then the overall height is 32 on this front portion of it. You can see that my picture is already starting to turn black because SolidWorks is understanding where it is in 3D space. So this one's a little tricky just because it's such a small angle. So don't forget that one. And I'm going to come over here and start doing some of these before I get to this arc. So I know I said go clockwise, but I am going to skip the arc just a little bit because it will make your life easier if you can line up some of these other things before adjusting that arc, dimensioning it. This one's 29, because see how dramatic that movement was? And if this arc can sometimes make your life miserable, it's easier to do the lines around it first. In my own opinion, this one was also an angle right here of 45. And I'll do one more over here to help pin this arc a little bit. This one was 24. Now I'll go ahead and try to dimension this one. It's supposed to be 19. I'm missing one. Ah, okay. So I haven't gave SolidWorks the relation of where my actual frame is in 3D space yet, because I did mean to put this one right in the beginning. But you have to do a little bit of math to figure this one out. It's supposed to be 33. Oh, and it still didn't go solid. Well, we're going to keep going. Maybe we'll figure it out along the way. So something else I'm going to do is start messing with this arc. So I'm going to get out of my dimension tool while holding control. I'm going to click on the origin of this arc and this line. Because if you look at the picture, they're actually coincident, so they're touching. And then check mark. And then there's a dimension from the bottom to that point of 19. And then from this point to there of 29. This one is 5. This one is 29. Wow, we almost got everything all black except for up here. So now I gotta figure out what happened here. Why are you not the black? Ah, that pop point. Okay. So I'm gonna get out of my smart dimension tool, and at this point, I'm gonna hit control on it, and the origin need to be vertical. Check mark. All right, awesome. So my whole picture went black, which means I'm fully defined, and it was doing just all the dimensions in that picture, as well as the sketch relations. I want to point out something that confused me early on. So this little picture right here that you can see, that's showing you that this line and this arc are tangent to each other. Originally, I thought it was like two arcs and that these were tangent points, but that's incorrect. So this is trying to represent, just trying to show you that this line, this straight line right here, and then as it rolls into this arc right here, are tangent together. That's why it looks like it just flows nice and easy. It's not represented here. As you can see, there's no arrow pointing to this portion because you kind of just assume it. You got to look at it and understand that that's what that means as well. So even though that one's not explicitly stated, you can see here in my picture I have that sketch relation, that there's a tangent relation right there. It does tell you that this arc and this arc are tangent to each other, and I also did make sure to include that sketch relation. So the only one that it didn't really display is this one, and that one is needed and is to fully define this picture. So up here you could see the one in their picture. It's trying to show you that this line here and then this arc are tangent. So that's what that means, and that's the SolidWorks representation. So I imagine that's going to be their notation if you ever take the test. So please make sure you understand that portion of it. So now I'm done sketching it. I can hit exit sketch, and I started by hitting my extrude tool, so it brought me into my extrude. And I know that may take a long time, some of you, as you're practicing this one your first time. It may be like 30 minutes to an hour trying to draw this thing. And then you'll get out of it. You'll be like, holy cow, it actually went to the extrude tool. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of it just in case you don't do it this way, because you can always just have your drawing. So I can click on my sketch here. Let me get out of it all the way. So there's just the sketch. I can click on sketch 1 and then click on my extrude boss base button, and it does the same thing. So again, we're going to make a global variable. I hit the equal sign here and use my quotations. This one's going to be C. And then I click on the little globe, and the instructions say to make this one 43 millimeters. And then I hit check mark. And the last thing we have to do is assign the material properties. So it wants it to be AISI 1020 steel, with this particular density. So if I go, I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to right click on material, hit edit material. And right here is the ASI or AISI 1020. Hit apply and close. And now I can go to evaluate and mass properties. And I can see that I weigh 939.54 grams. So I can come to my test. And I see there's one for 939.54 grams. And like I said, every time I've done this, I keep getting the exact answer. So I imagine as you guys try to make this part, you should get the exact answer as well. This video is at 15 minutes. It's a little shorter than I thought it was going to be, but I'm going to go ahead and still stop here and make the other portion of this a second video as like part 2. So thanks for watching, and hopefully watch part 2. Bye.